Our world is full of strange mysteries that are just waiting to be solved. Whether it's a cold case that has left investigators baffled for decades, internet mysteries with seemingly no explanation, or strange cases of mysterious disappearances that experts cannot solve. But due to our curious nature, these mysteries are always being investigated, and every so often, one of these strange cases is finally solved. Number 5. Experts were left without answers when, in the 1970s, a submarine sustained serious damage from an unknown source. But now the mystery has finally been solved. An American nuclear submarine was on patrol while searching for Russian enemy vessels, when out of nowhere they took a hit, but there was no sign of any enemy presence, and no one had any idea what could have caused so much damage. The submarine returned to the dry dock for further investigation, and it was here that the full extent of the damage was realized. The vessel's microphones as well as the radar had been destroyed beyond repair, a situation that would have left the soldiers completely blind in the water and vulnerable to further attacks. It was also noted that the damage had been dealt with one single blow that damaged the radar so badly that it couldn't be fixed and needed to be replaced entirely. Engineers noticed that a round hole had been made in the radar's rubber casing, causing the oil inside to run out while allowing seawater to seep in, damaging vital electronics that ran the system. The hole was found to have saw marks on the edges, and it was thought that it had either been done mechanically or by a Russian micro-submarine that targeted the submarine's weak spot. This caused panic amongst soldiers. If the enemy had that kind of technology, it could certainly spell disaster. But upon closer inspection, they noticed that the rubber also contained several tooth marks. Someone realized that the shape of the hole looked strangely familiar, and it was finally discovered that the culprit wasn't the enemy, but a cookie-cutter shark. These sharks, that typically grow to be about the size of a cat, are able to open their jaws to 180 degrees, allowing the upper and lower jaws to form a perfect circle. They then clamp down on their prey, which is usually much larger than they are, and their lips form a seal, helping it to suction onto its prey. The shark then shakes its body from side to side, causing the teeth to work like a saw blade that cuts through whatever it's attached to, like the submarine. Modern subs have now been fitted with stronger materials around their softer parts to keep the cookie cutters at bay. Number 4. When a strange mystery is solved, it usually creates a feeling of relief and excitement, but this wasn't the case for one man who managed to finally solve a very strange case. The entire saga unfolded in Mumbai, India, when a statue depicting Jesus started to show signs of a modern-day miracle. The statue had reportedly started dripping with water, and hundreds of believers flocked to the site to witness it with their own eyes, as it was believed that the drippings could cure all ailments. The church promoted the event as a site of pilgrimage, but one man wasn't so easily convinced. He'd been asked to comment on the strange mystery on TV9, a national channel in Mumbai. Here he rejected the theory that a miracle was taking place, but he had no way of disproving it, and so he was invited to visit the site with the permission of the church. Upon arrival, he decided to take a closer look at the adjacent washroom and the drainage system that ran underneath the base of the statue. He removed some of the stones from the drain and noticed that it had been blocked up. He touched the walls, the base of the statue, and the cross, and found that water that had been blocked in the drainage system had steadily flowed into the connecting wall and the statue. The water then escaped through a nail hole and traveled down the statue, where it dripped from the feet. And the mystery was finally solved, but this wasn't the good news that the church had hoped it would be. Charges have now been laid against him for deliberately hurting religious feelings and attempting malicious acts intended to outrage the religious sentiments of any class or community. He has stated, however, that he has no regrets after debunking the mystery, as he has helped many people understand a dangerous misconception. Number 3. The WebDriver Torso YouTube account has been a source of bafflement since 2013 when the account was created. Since then, more than 70,000 videos have been uploaded to the channel, mostly featuring blue and red rectangles on a white background, accompanied by electronic noises. But no one could understand the function of the channel, with some people theorizing that it was a modern-day number station through which spies communicated, or that it was merely an account created by internet trolls to spread confusion. Gradually, it became one of the most well-known internet mysteries until the 8th of May 2014, when an Italian blogger known as Paolo B revealed via his blog that he had finally solved the strange mystery. He discovered that not only WebDriver Torso, but also a number of other smaller channels were created by a YouTube network called YT Upload Test Partner Torso, and that it had been registered in Switzerland. Digging further, he realized that the network was connected to a channel featuring the same title and that it had uploaded a number of short videos from Google's offices. He then found that the account was linked to several Google employees and concluded that the mystery wasn't as dark as most people initially thought it to be. It turns out that WebDriver Torso is merely a platform used by Google for testing software, admittedly in a very strange way. Clips that are sent to YouTube servers are compared to the original file to ensure that the quality of the video doesn't change. Other users quickly learned of Paolo's revelation, and they confronted Google with his information. They then confirmed that they were indeed behind the channel and stated that it was never meant to go viral, but when it did, they decided to play along. Paolo admitted that when he solved the mystery, he felt a little conflicted because he was glad to have done it in just 6 days. But he remained confused at why Google was being so secretive. When the company finally came forward to claim ownership of the channel, however, he felt an immense sense of relief, and he offered to buy members of the Google staff a round of Guinness, as long as it was no more than 10 pints. Number 2. A paleontologist named Antonio Romilio has finally solved a mystery that has kept archaeologists baffled for many years. The mystery involves a set of footprints that were discovered in the fire clay caverns at the Mount Morgan mines in Queensland, Australia, in 1952. But what has been the source of puzzlement aren't the prints themselves, but rather their location. Mysteriously, the prints were found on the floor of the caves, as would normally be expected, but they were spotted on the ceiling of the caverns. Researchers were baffled as to how the prints were made on the roof of the cave. Just as mysterious was the claim that they were made by a carnivorous dinosaur that walked on 4 legs, something that is seen as extremely unusual. The answers started to come together when Antonio was selling fruit and vegetables at a farmer's market stand, when he was approached by a dentist named Rosalind Dick. She was buying some of his merchandise when he casually mentioned that he also practiced paleontology. He was surprised to learn that Rosalind's father was Ross Staines, who had also discovered several dinosaur bones in Australia. He also studied the prints at Mount Morgan, and Rosalind still had all of his research material, including a replica of the mysterious footprints. She allowed him to study the material, and he quickly came to the conclusion that the prints were in fact made by 2 bipedal dinosaurs and not by 1 quadruped. This still left the mystery of how the prints were made on the ceiling, but Antonio was soon able to solve that as well. He found that the dinosaurs had made normal prints on the shore of the lake, and with time the prints were covered by sand, which is a more resistant sediment. The original sediment eventually turned to clay, and the sand turned to sandstone over time. The clay then eroded much faster than the sandstone, leaving the prints behind on the roof of the cave. He stated that the mystery would very likely have been solved much sooner, but access to the caves is very limited after it was closed due to safety concerns more than a decade ago. Since releasing his findings, Antonio has been approached by other paleontologists and geologists who have shown interest in studying and furthering Staines' work. With any luck and some hard work, many more of these types of mysteries could finally be solved. Number 1. On the 3rd of March, 1972, the Pioneer 10 space probe was launched, closely followed the following year by Pioneer 11, which was launched on the 5th of April. The probes were designed to explore the outer solar system. Among their mission objectives were the exploration of the interplanetary medium beyond Mars's orbit, scientific investigation into the nature of the asteroid belt, assessment of the asteroid belt's possible obstruction of missions to the outer planets, and exploration of Jupiter's environment. Many other goals were subsequently added, such as mapping Saturn's magnetic field, measuring Saturn's atmospheric temperature, and probing Saturn's ring system and atmosphere with S-band radio occultation, to name but a few. But due to the extreme accuracy with which the probe's acceleration was being measured, an anomaly was soon detected. It was fully expected that the probes would slow down due to the gravitational attraction of the Sun. But by 1980, it was found that they were slowing down much faster than expected, despite reaching escape velocity from the Sun. It was calculated that the probes were slowing down at a rate of around 300 inches per day, and while this doesn't seem like much, it meant that they traveled thousands of miles less from Earth per year than was predicted. This baffled experts, as it suggested they may be witnessing a breakdown in the principle of gravitation, as is illustrated by general relativity. Many theories were put forward over the following years, including suggestions that we didn't fully understand the fundamentals of physics. It was also thought possible that our understanding of the gravitational forces from interstellar medium between stars was flawed, or that dust was creating drag on the spacecraft. It was even theorized that calculations showing the position of Earth relative to the probes were wrong. But one theory seemed to come up over and over again: thermal effects from the 4 radioisotope thermoelectric generators that served as power sources to the probes. Heat generated by the RTGs traveled to the craft's leading edges, accompanied by heat generated by the electronics box, causing them to heat asymmetrically. This resulted in backward pressure known as thermal recoil forces, slowing both probes down over time. And so the mystery was finally solved, leaving our understanding of the theory of relativity safely intact. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.